Hi everyone, welcome back to another Tauke Talk session. So before we actually go into the main sharing session, before we actually start, I'll just like to go through the agenda of everybody to set some expectation, to let you know what's going to happen during this whole session, yeah? So I'm going to go through the guidelines once again, and then after we move on to an introduction where you guys can meet Neil from Neil's Artisan Chocolate. And then we'll move on to the sharing session where we learn about a little bit more about his business and why he started his business and his journey, essentially. And then the Q&A would be where we'll be answering all your pre-submitted questions and any question you might have for Neil. And then the closing is where we'll be talking about the next Talkie Talk session and also our current flagship program. So the guidelines are just a kind reminder that please stay muted and turn off your video at all times when you join. If you have any questions along the way, please don't be shy and please do let us know your questions through the chat. We'll be compiling it and asking Neil during the Q&A session. And then please do use respectful language when you are communicating in the chat. All right. All right. My name is Cindy, and I'll be your host today. Welcome to Tauke Talks, a series of sharing session where we actually invite small local businesses to actually come and share a little bit about their motivation of why they started their business and the story behind their entrepreneurship journey. RYSE, this sharing session is brought to you by RYSE, a Malaysian research and social outreach project that aims to actually empower youth through entrepreneurship. And RYSE is supported by Citi Foundation. So the reason why we started Talkie Talks is because we believe that entrepreneurship is not only um, defined by all the big companies out there, the big tech companies that with high technology, but also for small local businesses such as Neil Artisan Chocolates. So we hope to actually showcase these stories of small local businesses that are still persevering and still chasing their dreams despite the circumstances. So I'm very happy to welcome Neil today from Neil's Artisan Chocolate. Hi, Neil.
Hey, how's it going? Hi.
Here, really give him a warm round of applause because we are very happy to have our first chocolatier Tauke of our whole journey with Tauke Talks. Yeah. So before we actually move on to the main sharing session, Neil, can you share a little bit about your business and what your business actually stands for, what kind of products you offer, and how can they find out more about you?
Sure. I just want to say if there's anyone here from the Instagram page, hi guys. I'm actually really excited to share with you like the whole journey from like the last year and just to put you guys up to speed on where we are. So Neil's Artisan Chocolates is an e-commerce direct-to-consumer brand for chocolates made with Malaysian cacao. We source high quality local cacao, process them to create artisanal chocolate bars. Now, what's a little bit different about our company is that the chocolate that we make is intended to be created with the goal of nuanced flavors, as opposed to the traditional sweet confectionery treats that you usually get in the supermarket shelves. So in order to bring out the true flavors of local Malaysian cacao, we only use two ingredients, which are organic unrefined cane sugar and fine Malaysian cacao. So that's one aspect of the business. But the biggest side of things is where our sustainability model comes in, which is the bean to bar model. Now, it's essentially a trade model which produces high quality goods that is free from exploitation. One of the ways we do this is basically we pay our farmers a little bit more for high quality cacao. And this translates to about 3 times more than the commodity price. And this enables a trickle-down effect, meaning that this will allow the farmers to make an honest living, while they're then able to pay their workers fair wages, and it prevents the prevalence of child labor exploitation.
All right, so this is some of the pictures. You want to share a bit about this chocolate, Neil?
Okay, yeah, so this is actually our first, this is actually the first flagship product that we had. This is the 72% chocolate bar from a cacao farm in Malacca. So this was the first chocolate which we put out, and eventually it was the one that managed to keep the ball rolling. So the chocolate you see on the left was what I first released. This was somewhere around in November, and eventually I realized that if you want to take it a little bit bigger, you have to improve in the design and the packaging. So this was something that we changed into it much later on.
Right. So you can see here packaging growth, guys. So if you like aesthetic packaging, Neil's chocolate is the way to go. All right. So, and if any of you are like chocolate lovers like myself, or you're looking to buy chocolate or find out more about the business in general, you can always check them out via their Instagram or their website that is made available to you. Okay, so now we've learned a little bit more about your business. Let's move on to your journey as an entrepreneur, right? Could you share with us a little bit about what inspired you to actually start your own business? Maybe you can tell us a bit about your background. Did you had a 9 to 5 job before this? How did you actually take that journey and that first step to be an entrepreneur?
Um, okay, so how I started Neil's Artisan Chocolates was actually during the MCO. Like a lot of people, I was also losing my mind within like the first month and a half, and I just needed to do something. And my best friend at the time, she sent me a video on how to make chocolates on at home. So I decided to try it out. So, so from this video, I went, like I decided, okay, let's see where I can find like local cacao.
Right.
And and then I met this farmer, and his name is Mr. Simon Ting, and he's based in Malacca. And I contacted him, and I got the cacao. From there, I did the whole process. I fermented the cacao, processed it, uh, turned it into chocolate, and tasted it. And this was like crazy for me because when I first bit into the chocolate, I was taken aback by the kind of like flavors you were getting from the chocolate. And I asked myself, like, is this what Malaysian chocolate tastes like? Like, you don't hear about Malaysian chocolate at all, right? But like,
Right.
is this what it tasted like? And so obviously, like the next step after that was to show my friends and my family. And when I made the chocolate for them, they were also like, this is Malaysian chocolate. So so eventually, right? Like it was it was it was like a passion project. So you end up like you go batch after batch, and then slowly like people coming in to me, they were saying that, hey, like we heard that you're making chocolate, can I get some from you? And this kept on going. Like I think like the first time I decided to sell it on Instagram,
Right.
we sold out in about 50 chocolate bars in 6 hours. So this was like really
Wow.
inspiring for me, because like not only did I have people coming to me willingly to buy something that I was making, um, it kind of gave me like this sense of this sense of affirmation that what I was doing was something good. And I think a lot of this was also because I documented the entire process on how I made the chocolate from from breaking it and turning into chocolate. And yeah, and because of this, like I really owe this inspiration of making inspiration of this to my friends, because without them, I wouldn't be doing this at all.
Mm.
And I know that as long as I continue to put my head down and make good chocolate, they will they will have my back.
Right. Hey, thank you so much for sharing about how did you actually started that whole journey of making chocolate. So did you how did you is it still your side hustle or is it now your main job? Can you share a bit about that?
Okay, so it's now my main hustle. It started off as like a side hustle.
All right.
I was initially doing a lot of freelance business analysis work,
Mm.
and during the MCO, and I think once when I started making the chocolates, right, and when the volumes went up, that's when I decided that like if you want to be serious in this, you have to go all in.
Yeah.
You have to take that forward step, that plunge. So I did. And here we are.
Right. Was it scary for you to like, give up what you're so used and comfortable with to try on like this new fresh endeavor?
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely. So I used to work in startups, and I used to work in tech as well.
Yep.
So this is like a far cry from what what those two other professions are, man.
Yep.
So chocolate and like tech is like it's two separate fields, but I would say though, there are a lot of transferable skills that you learn from tech, which allows you to apply it into chocolate.
Mm-mm.
You know?
For example,
So
some skills you can share,
yeah,
those who
so
may be
like
in tech.
so so in tech, right? When you want to release a product,
Yep.
You don't want to release like a or rather like the standard practice is to put in a product that's like 80% complete, and this is like a scrappy product, you know,
Yep.
it works, it's unrefined, but at the end of the day, what happens is that it gets you like the feedback from whether or not users would want it, you know.
Yep.
So I did the same thing with chocolate. So going back to that packaging as well, that was actually like a product of feedback that I received from my customers, because so during this time, each time I sold a chocolate bar, I would ask them for feedback,
Mm.
and the feedback would then give me a direction into where I could then further improve the product.
Mm.
And so it started off with like the flavors, and then it was texture, and then it was like the packaging, and then it was the logistics, you know. So
Mm.
I think it's really important to just like yeah. So I think this is something which I learned from tech and I put into chocolate.
Mm. So you're constantly trying to like pivot and change your business in order to make it acceptable and relatable, right, to your customer base.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I'm. I think like at the end of the day, right? The customer is king in most,
Mm.
especially when it comes to like food, especially in Malaysia, right?
Yeah.
You know, like food is part of our culture, right? Like you get some Singaporean to say something like we own chicken rice, and then it's and then
Yep.
you create like this whole debate, you know.
Yep.
Um, so that's the thing. So it's all about like how can you improve your product, how can you improve your chocolate into something that your customers will enjoy, because these guys would then help you with spreading the word about the product, I guess,
Yep.
because they would tell their friends, and if it's good, and that their friends would tell their friends, and it's like this whole ripple effect that goes on.
Yep. Right. Thank you so much for sharing about that. So, because you started during the MCO, like you said, right? What could you share a bit about what were the challenges when you first started this whole business, and how did you actually overcome them? Like for me personally, I've never my perception of Malaysian chocolate, right, is totally different. Right, like all I remember is the small soccer balls that we have during Chinese New Year and things like that. And most of the artisan or bar chocolate that we have are all like from imported from us, right? Like to us, and we don't really export chocolate. So can you tell us a bit about the challenges in the terms of like dealing with a customer, maybe because you mentioned about creating your own machines. Maybe you can tell us a bit about that.
Yeah. Okay. So when I first started this chocolate production, it took me about 6 days to complete. And as people were coming in,
Yep.
the demand got higher.
Mm-mm.
So the number one question for me was always like, how can I how can I reduce the number of days it takes to create a chocolate? So cacao is making chocolate is a labor of love. It goes through about 8 steps before it finally becomes chocolate. So first for me, when I first started, it was like 13 days, then it was 6 days, and now it's down to like 4 days for me. And obviously, the easiest solution would be to spend about, let's say, like 100,000 ringgit on machinery. And I was like, okay, well, maybe in another life, I cannot afford this. It's too expensive, you know?
Right.
So what I did was I asked myself, how can I, in my capacity, find the most creative way to solve this problem?
Mm.
Because when you have no budget, you have to be creative, you know?
Right.
So what I did was I researched some schematics and plans online. I found YouTube videos of people who built their own setups. And eventually I drew out my plans. I went to my local hardware store.
Mm-hmm.
I bought some PVC pipes, attached them to a vacuum cleaner, and voila, I built myself a winnower.
Wow.
And and this was so important to me because like this helped speed up a process that would usually take like 9 hours, and I turned it into 1 hour.
Mm.
So it's like more like this first like early like challenges as well, you know. And but then I think like going forward, right? Once when the production line was somewhat stabilized, it was just then another problem came up of that, which was how do you sell this chocolate, you know? So it's one thing to have like your customers explain or like spread the word of your chocolate, but it's also a different thing to convince new customers to come inside to buy your chocolate from you.
Right.
So I'm talking about the people who still think that, or like people who associate chocolate with a very familiar taste to what we've been groomed to think chocolate should taste like.
Mm-mm.
So when I tell people that bean to bar chocolate is really about appreciating the flavors of high quality cacao,
Mm-mm.
people get really intimidated. And I think this intimidation is because this activity to describe the flavors is is something that's descriptive, right? And usually when it's done in like a group of people. So can you imagine you're in a group with like people, right? Like four people,
Yeah.
and like what do you taste? What are you tasting right now? And then the first guy goes like jackfruit, 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 and then the last one's like I taste cherries. So
Right.
if you're that person that says cherries, everyone is suddenly looking at you.
Right.
They're going to be asking, why do you say that it's like cherries, you know? And as that person, you suddenly no longer feel safe. You feel like you're no longer in like a safe space to enjoy that chocolate.
Right.
And and I think this practice is wrong because the sensory experience or training your senses or taste can be trained. And what you experience is really unique to you. So so with this in mind, right, I especially at the start of the business, I told myself that how do I convey this message to people that, you know, what you're experiencing with the taste of chocolate is unique to yours. So I made this like a infographic.
Right. Aw.
This is like a this is like a sensory guide for chocolate,
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
which I attached to every chocolate bar. And
Nice.
then each time like an order came in, I sent it out together with it. So it's it's basically a card that teaches you a methodology on how to taste chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started shipping these cards out, the reviews and the feedback that I got was really positive. You know, customers were telling me that how helpful that the questions were, how it prompted them to open up and how it prompted them to experience the chocolate in new ways. And it's also I think in my head it's a different way to educate the community where it's self-learning and it's self-paced, you know. So it's a lot easier to take in as opposed to like having an authoritative figure come in and tell you that what you should be tasting it.
Mm. Okay. All right. So thank you for sharing about that. Okay, I didn't know there are steps to tasting chocolate. Now I feel like I'm not qualified to eat chocolate. But yeah, I think that's quite interesting for you to say that, and the way you overcome those kind of problem, I think is somewhat like drinking coffee, right? That different people would taste different things.
Exactly, it's exactly like drinking coffee, you know.
Yeah, incredible. Great. So now we'll move on to the next question. So now we've learned a little bit about the challenges you faced in the beginning. So can you share a bit about what were the challenges that your business faced during the pandemic? Because you actually started doing MCO. So essentially, can you tell us a little bit more about how the pandemic kind of challenged your business in a sense, and how did you actually adapt it?
Okay. So with the pandemic, right? It's actually put a lot of barriers to how the way we traditionally do things.
Hmm.
So take for example that tasting session I just shared with you. Usually you're doing it with a group of people, but when you have a pandemic, you can say goodbye to that. It doesn't exist, right? No
Right.
one's no one's going to go out of their house, and and I think that it's not and it's a good thing that no one's coming out of their house as well, you know. Um, Previously, I tried to sell our chocolates at the bazaar, and and I and this ended up with me going to the malls and participating in like various outlets just to sell these chocolate bars out, you know. And I think honestly that this was a wrong choice because it was putting the community at risk, and this included the customers and the people there that I met as well. If anything, we would be one of the people who was contributing to the rising daily cases of, of COVID, you know. But so I think so when I stopped doing that, right, I looked inwards and I told myself that, you know, moving on from this, I don't think this is the way forward. We should really focus all the energy towards building an online sales channel.
Mm.
And this sales channel has to be something which is seamless as possible. And it gives the customer a really nice experience to buy the chocolate. So recently I actually just launched or I just finished and it's now set up, my web store. You can find it on my Instagram. It's on my link tree, and it's also a work in progress. I look forward to your feedback in the future. Uh, but what we intend to do is that we intend to become a one-stop shop for anything bean to bar chocolate. And this includes shopping for chocolate, finding out more knowledge about chocolate, and at a later stage, maybe even perhaps buying equipment to make chocolate yourself at home.
Wow, looking forward for the equipment part. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be great to have like it'll be great to have everyone make chocolates in their own home later on in the future. It's kind of like Poppy
Yeah.
too, you know?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Like, I would love to go for a workshop about how to make chocolate, right? From the comfort of your home.
Yeah, and maybe one day like we'll give you all the equipment and materials and you can just shop it online.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that in the near future, hopefully. Yeah. So now we've learned a bit about the pandemic period, right? And then now, with the current cases that are rising and the new regulations that's put into place, with the uncertainty, right, caused by the pandemic still present, and I don't think COVID is going to go away anytime soon. Um, as a business owner yourself, an entrepreneur, how are you planning to actually help Neil's Artisan Chocolate actually grow from this point onwards?
Okay. I think first it would be to have the online sales channel. That has to be number one. Because when you have a sales channel that's online, your markets open up. You're not just based in KL, you are now able to sell around the region. And there are a lot, and it's just a matter of like putting the pieces together, finding a logistics partner, finding a packaging partner which allows you to pack the product and you can send it overseas.
Hmm.
And because with now that everything is online, your reach is just generally so much larger than it was before. So I think in terms of like growth, that's where we intend to go as well. We intend to go first. We want to have a nice footing in PJ and then in KL, and slowly to the rest of the peninsula, and then we'll spread out towards the East Coast. Sorry, the East Coast, and then later on to our neighboring countries like Singapore, Thailand, Vietnam, and Indonesia.
Oh, wow, such a big milestone, which is good. I mean, like a growth that we hope to see in the future for you as well. Right. So now it's enough of the pandemic and the whole MCO situation. Let's move on to things that are more happier and like something we want to hear from you, which is what would you say, in this short period of time of you opening your business is your proudest achievement to date?
Oof. Um, okay. So I think the biggest achievement so far is the most recent one. Um, Over the last weekend, we actually just landed some pre-seed funding after producing sales tractions across 4 months. And this was a really difficult process. It took about 2 months, and there were a lot of talks, and eventually it went down to our first 1 month of execution. And this was really special for me because there were a lot of sleepless nights. There are a lot of energy put into it and into achieving this goal. And what really makes it even more special is that not only does the funding sort of validate the business model, but now there is an opportunity for me to scale this business up and even to hire a team. Uh, so to the viewers out there, if you're looking to work in a chocolate company, uh, please contact us on Instagram. We can take it from there. We're looking to focus on our sales channel, our online sales channel, our D2C line. So we need good talent for that. So yeah, send it in.
Right. Thank you so much. Yeah, for those who are looking to, maybe looking for a job or you want to change a job, MCO putting a toll on you, you can always go and hit Neil up and let's let him know that you're interested to joining the chocolate industry in the chocolate world. It will be legitimately like Willy Wonka's movie. You will be one of the many people who get to taste chocolate. Yeah,
Yeah, come in, like join the chocolate cult.
yeah. The cult. Yeah, I think it's quite interesting to hear that that is your proudest achievement, right? Because I think a lot of people think that entrepreneurs, right, means we already have money in our pocket. We don't need to work hard. No such thing as sleepless night. It's all about sitting with your coffee, goyang goyang kaki.
Oh,
I
I
think
wish, man.
yeah, it's a rewarding journey, right? Tough but rewarding journey.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Thank you for answering that. Okay, the next question would be, can you name one entrepreneur whom you admire and explain to us or tell us a story about why they actually inspire you?
Okay. So the entrepreneur which I look up to is actually Phil Knight, and he is the founder of Nike Shoes.
Hmm.
So I came across this biography called Shoe Dog, and in this book, you're taken on this journey of how he starts the company from essentially nothing. And over the years, he just turns it into this massive global company that is now a household name in almost every country. And I think this is, and what was really inspiring was the journey that he tells you about, how he, and all the steps that he took into building Nike to where it is. When I was reading this book, it gave me a sense that the road to success is paved with lots of hard work and persistence. You got to keep your head down. You got to do the work. Don't waver and trust that the process will work.
Hmm. Right. Thank you so much. I think yeah, with like eco in line with Nike's tagline, which is just do it, right?
Just do it. Just gotta do it.
Yeah, I think that's interesting to see that you've taken that approach with your business and how it has actually benefited you as an entrepreneur. Right. So my final question I have for you before we move on to the more exciting questions that the audience have sent in would be, do you think young people should start their own business and why?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that if you're a young person and you love to solve problems, I would recommend that you start your own business. So, as a young person, one of your advantages is your creativity. And the world these days has so many problems, and we need more creative solutions to solve them.
Have you heard that, all the creative people out there? Take your opportunity to actually be your own boss. Yeah, thank you so much, Neil, for answering my questions that I have for you. Let's move on now to the Q&A session where we'll be answering all of the pre-submitted and the questions that the audience just sent in. So the first question is, how do you oversee the quality control process throughout your efforts to scale and outsource production?
Okay. So first and foremost, I am hands-on on every chocolate bar that comes out from Neil's Artisan Chocolates, and we're really committed to the quality process. One of the ways we do this is by knowledge sharing. So there are tons of journal articles that are being read, tons of research done towards making really good chocolate and building a chocolate assembly line as well. So part of one of the things which I'm really thankful for being in this industry, that the players inside are very collaborative by nature. So even as we scale up, like I'll be leading the scale. And I know that because the collaborative nature is as such, there would also be people out there who would not be afraid to share their knowledge and expertise towards improving the process and making it as great as possible. Because at the end of the day, we're trying to put Malaysian cacao to a global level, and we're trying to push it to put Malaysia as a global champion for fine cacao.
Thank you so much for answering that question. Right, so the next question here is, hi Neil, how do you compete your chocolate brand with other well-known slash cheaper chocolate out there currently in Malaysia?
Okay, so um, when we talk about like the difference between bean to bar chocolate and the cheaper chocolate brands, I think it goes back down to this adage of finding your niche. So if I was to create a cheap chocolate brand or cheaper chocolate brand, I would be competing with the cheaper chocolate brands on a price scale.
Hmm.
So for me, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to give the customers really good, high quality products at an affordable entry point. And luckily for me, like at this space, there aren't a lot of players inside. And the thing is that when you're in an undefined market, such as artisanal chocolate, you don't know the full size of the market. Now, there are good things and there are bad things to this. The great thing is that you don't call it competition anymore, simply because when you imply competition, or rather when you say it's competition, you imply that there's scarcity. And when you're in an undefined market, you don't know exactly how much there is. Uh, yeah, you don't know exactly how much it is. So the kind of like thing that you should have should be, how far can I work on myself to push this as far as I can go? So that's the approach which I take towards competing with the rest. Like I don't compete with them, I compete with myself.
Right. Yeah, you are always your biggest work. You have to work on yourself first. Thank you so much for answering that. Let's move on to the next question, which is, someone's asked, I'm just curious, do you have any collaboration with other brands, like with your chocolate?
With chocolates, yes, we do. So in fact, that's how I think that's how I started actually. It was thanks to this this honey brand called My Naturi. So we did a collaboration with them. They also believe in having products which are really high quality, and they are at an affordable, accessible price point. So, and I think as a startup, it's very important to, to always be collaborating with other brands that are also new, because together, if you all share the same vision and goal for your companies, you would be you will be helping each other up, and you'll be pushing each other out there as well.
So take that as a sign you're trying to say that you're open to collaboration
I
in a
most
sense.
definitely am. And so far, we've done about 4 collaborations, and we've also placed our chocolate bars in 3 different cafes.
Mm. Maybe you can share a bit which cafes, or maybe the audience could be like, stop by that
Oh,
cafe and then get a chocolate bar.
I will. So I can't say anything right now because it's still in the talks of it, but
Okay.
it's pretty much done already. And if you want to know which cafes you can find where you can find our chocolate bars, follow us on Instagram, and you'll have the full details down there once when everything is ready.
All right. Thank you so much, Neil, for that. Um, yeah, the next question would be, what makes the quality of your chocolate different from mass-produced chocolate like Cadbury?
Okay, so going back to the chocolate, our chocolate only consists of 2 ingredients: unrefined organic cane sugar and Malaysian cacao. Um, what makes it taste different is in the processing. So part of like the major place of where the flavor development happens is in the roasting. And when you roast chocolate, you are essentially playing with the temperatures, and these temperatures will definitely affect the final quality and taste of the product. So when we compare this to a commercial chocolate, when you pick up, like, let's say a Lindt, or let's say one of those like a choco balls you've had, you're gonna see at the back of the ingredients down there, it's gonna say sugar, it's gonna say cacao, and like 12 different other ingredients inside. And you're gonna ask yourself the question like, cacao, you can make chocolate with only 2 ingredients. Why are you having so many other ingredients inside? And I think that's, and you realize that it's just mainly to keep the cost low for all these bigger players are on there. So does it taste great? Sure does, but is it good for you? I don't believe so.
Right. Thank you so much. I think your main selling point is, right, knowing what goes into your whatever you're eating is very important.
Yeah. So all our chocolates are vegan friendly, 100% natural.
Right? So those who are health conscious and are looking for a vegan alternative can go and check this chocolate out. So the next question here from another curious audience is, what did you study prior to starting your chocolate business? I think
Okay.
they're just curious about your background. Like, what did you do to have all this knowledge about business, right?
Okay. I studied international relations and psychology. So this is what I did for my degree. And after university, I didn't want to work in any of those fields. So I decided to then go into to startups. I landed myself a job in venture capital, and then I went into tech, and I went into fintech, and now I've landed myself into chocolate now.
Oh, it's getting niche and niche. I realized your pathway.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you just want to be that person with like the rarest skill set in the world and bank on it, right?
Right. Thank you so much. Next, the final question I have here from the audience would be, as your business is starting to grow, right, and getting bigger, do you have a business partner?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
As your business is slowly growing and is getting bigger, do you have a business partner?
Well, yes, I do. In fact, this business partner just signed on over the weekend when we got funding. So it was an angel round. They call this round where, so when you raise funds for the first, when you're at the first round of funding, you want to get someone who not only knows your capabilities, you want someone who can complement your skill set as well.
Right.
So they call this round in the VC world and the startup world the FFF round, which stands for friends, family, and fools. So if you don't have friends or families that are willing to invest in your business, you can always find a fool, and they will come in as your partner later on.
Could you explain a bit to the audience for those who don't know what is actually an angel investor?
An angel investor is someone who, oh man, actually there are so many ways to answer this question. I would say that from a technical perspective, an angel investor is someone who has experience with businesses and they are willing to share their knowledge with you in exchange for equity of the company. So that's what I think that would be like one of the best ways I could put it.
Right, thank you for sharing about that. Maybe if you're willing to share to those who are thinking of starting a business, where did you actually personally found your investor? Did you like any organization that you reach out to, or was it someone that you know, someone in the industry? Can you share a bit about that?
Yeah, so this is actually a friend of mine, and I think and I think that the problem is not so much about where do you find an investor. That's not the question you should be asking. The question you should be asking is my product good enough that someone else can believe in the same dream that I have? Because when you have a vision and you work on that vision, and people see that you're working on this vision, they will follow you. They will believe your vision, and naturally, they would want to find someone to help you out in terms of funding. So I would say this: work on creating something which is great, which is good, and have a vision for it, and the people will follow after.
Mm. Right. Thank you so much for answering that. Thank you for your insight as well, Neil. Okay, that was Neil, everybody from Neil's Artisan Chocolate, sharing his experience at Tauke Talks, brought to you by RYSE and supported by Citi Foundation. So if this whole session has sparked your cravings for chocolates, or you would like to join this industry in general, please do find out more and keep updated on the latest updates from Neil's Artisan Chocolate via their Instagram or their website. I think today I really learned a lot about not only about owning a small business, but the world of chocolates has now my mind has now expanded to a whole new world thanks to you, Neil. What really motivated, I think I can see that what really motivated you is your spirit of um like your spirit of acceptance towards hardship. Like you're so open to it, knowing that after every hardship there will be a reward as you work hard and hustle, which is really nice to hear um from you and from Tauke as well. And I hope that whatever Neil have shared today in terms of how he has made it so far in his journey as an entrepreneur will actually inspire one and every one of you to actually take up um his approach to life and actually go and strive harder and achieve your goals as well. All right, so if you have enjoyed this session of Tauke Talks and you would like to find out more about Tauke Talks or you're interested to join another session, our upcoming session will be with Aaron. From Neighbor Food. So this is actually a platform that actually encourages foodpreneurs or chefs or home chefs to actually share their cuisine or dish via a platform, an online platform. So if you're interested, please do click the bit.ly link that's available in the chat, or you can always go and visit our social media to get the link as well. And if you are interested in opening your own business, or you just want to learn more about entrepreneurship and how entrepreneurship can affect your life and help you upskill yourself, you can always join our current flagship program called RYSE Online 2021. It's currently ongoing up till the 30th of July. It's totally free. You can just join it by registering on the bit.ly link that's available in the chat or on the screen here, or you can just scan the QR code and get to join this journey of entrepreneurship or diving deeper on the basics of entrepreneurship. And if you're interested to find out more about why we started Tauke Talks, upcoming Tauke Talks, or even RYSE program itself, you can always find out more via our Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. All right. Thank you so much, Neil, for being a part of a Tauke Talk session today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing as well. Thank you everyone for taking the time to actually sit down with us wherever you are across Malaysia to actually learn more about entrepreneurship. And I hope you guys have a great week and enjoy your Raya. Selamat Hari Raya to all those celebrating. Thank you for coming. Bye.